Hey everybody, welcome back to Welch's Math Class. We are going to continue on talking a little bit about algebra and particularly solving equations. We're solving equations. We're in Module 10. We've got a couple of equations sitting in front of us here. 7x equals negative 91. Negative 5.3x equals 21.2. Now, to solve these equations, we're going to use something called the multiplication principle. Multiplication principle has a tremendous number of applications in algebra. We're going to just kind of hit on one right here. We'll look at some others a little bit later, but let's look at what the multiplication principle says. Okay. So the multiplication principle essentially says this: we can multiply or divide an equation by anything. You get that? We can multiply or divide an equation by anything as long as we multiply or divide both sides of that equation, both sides of the equal, by the same thing. So I can multiply one side of an equation by 5 as long as I multiply the other side of the equation by 5. And we're going to see how that comes into play here, I guess, quickly in this problem right here. So what we've got here is an equation of 7x equals negative 91. Now what I would like to do is what I call isolate the x. I'd like to get the x by itself. Now the 7, I need to get the 7 off the x. Now the 7 is called a coefficient. And what the relationship here, this 7x, it means 7 times x. And so if I would like to get the 7 to cancel off the x, what I'll do is I'll come here and I'll divide the 7x by 7. I'll divide the 7x by 7. Now, I'm fine dividing the 7x by 7 on that left side of the equal as long as over here with this negative 91, I also divide that by 7. So if I divide one side of the equation by something, I need to divide the other side of the equation by the same thing. Now the reason I divided by 7, remember, is I wanted the 7's to cancel. I'm trying to isolate the x. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to get x, and then I'm going to simply divide out my negative 91 divided by 7. Okay, now we know a negative number divided by a positive number is going to give me a negative answer. Okay, first of all, and then 91 divided by 7, I believe, is 13. So I believe my answer there is negative 13. I'm pretty comfortable with that. You can always pull your calculator and do a quick check if you like. 91 divided by 7 equals, yep, it's 13. That's good. Now, so there we go, just for the check with the calculator. Now, let's take a look at this one. I'd like for you to pause the video and you work at this one for a second using the multiplication principle to solve it, and then we'll get back together and do it together. Okay, so pause, take a look, and go after it. Hey, welcome back. I'm glad that you were able to go ahead and get this problem worked. I hope you were able to do it with no trouble at all. I think what we understand here is we'd like to get the x by itself. So the negative 5.3 is actually multiplied by the x. So let's divide by negative 5.3. And that'll make the negative 5.3 cancel out. Okay? And remember, I can divide this left side by negative 5.3 as long as I take my 21.2 over here and also divide it by negative 5.3. All right, so negative 5.3 is canceling out here. X is now by itself. Now my work is a 21.2 divided by a negative 5.3. Well, I do know a positive number divided by a negative number gives me a negative answer. I think to be safe here, I'm going to pull out my handy dandy calculator and punch in 21.2 divided by 5.3 equals, 4. How about that? So my answer should have been, your answer should have been negative 4. X equals negative 4. I want you to pop back into your practice problem, do as many similar exercises as you need to get used to using that multiplication principle in this particular way to get a coefficient off the variable. So work that, practice it, and I'll see you next time.